Social media has ruined cars for me. Seeing cars in person just doesn't quite feel the same as it used to. And whether you realize it or not, you probably feel the same way, at least to some degree. Let me explain. Think about the last time you were excited to see a car in person. Like, really excited. You have no idea what the model is. You have no idea what the interior looks like. You don't know what the car sounds like. You don't know what the exhaust note is. You know nothing about the car at all whatsoever. So you start walking around the car. You start looking, around the back of the car. What do the taillights look like? How does the interior look like? If you don't know anything about the car, you might even ask the salesperson or someone nearby, what even is this thing? And this is really what it was like to see cars in person for the first time before social media. Let me start with an example. I'm a big Ferrari fan. I love everything about Ferrari, from the racing teams to the street cars, pretty much everything Ferrari, I'm a huge fan of. So I know most of their cars, or at least I know of most of their cars. So about a year ago, I went to a local Ferrari dealership to check out this cool arrangement of cars they had. So they were doing a little mini event to show off their tailor-made program, which is essentially Ferrari's kind of unique spec program. So you basically just design a car, they build it for you kind of how you want, kind of custom features, custom paint, essentially tailor-made for a client. And there are a few cars there that I saw honestly for the first time in my life. Most notably the Monza SP1 and the Monza SP2, and then the competition version of the 812 Superfast. And it was honestly so cool to see those cars for the first time in person, because I knew nothing about those cars, like at all. I knew of their existence, so this was really my first real exposure to these specific cars, and it was just the coolest feeling. It was the coolest thing. So I ended up looking all around the Monza SP1, kind of seeing how the taillights work, kind of how the single seater kind of works, and just kind of what the car was all about. I just tried to take all of it in, the little hand painted Ferrari logo on the side. All of it I tried to take in. Then I moved on to the Monza SP2, which is pretty much the same exact car, just a two-seater version of the Monza SP1. And well, as far as the 812 goes, the 812 pretty much became my modern Ferrari dream car. Personally, I'm a fan of the GTS version, but just seeing the competition in person is the coolest thing. It was just such an incredible experience. For the first time, just seeing that big piece across the hood, it was crazy. The whole back part of the car. And I had pretty much no social media exposure to these cars before this event. Now, I had another kind of similar experience with the Ferrari FXX. I remember a couple years ago, I saw this car for the first time in person, and it was honestly the first time period that I've ever seen this car. I didn't even know this thing existed, and it was a really cool moment for me. One, because of that reason, I didn't know what it was. I was so fascinated by it, especially as a Ferrari guy. And two, the Ferrari Enzo is kind of my legendary Ferrari. That was my poster car, the Ferrari Enzo, the legendary Ferrari. And here's a hardcore race car version of it. And I was so excited by seeing that car for the first time in person. And now I obsess over the new version of it, which is the Ferrari FXX-K. And I know now they have the Ferrari FXX-K Evo. And the new FXX-K and the Evo are based on the LaFerrari, which I think is just as cool of a car as the Enzo. Maybe not as historically cool or as classic, but still nonetheless an awesome car. And it's one of the few cars that I'm still genuinely excited to see in person. But will it be ruined by everything I've already seen about the car? I even have Gran Turismo, and one of the cars on Gran Turismo is the FXX-K. So will social media have ruined that car for me too? I don't know, and I guess I'll have to find out when I see the car in person. On the flip side, for cars that I've seen too many times, either on social media or really in person, I have a completely different reaction, and it's honestly why I'm making this video. Now, if you're enjoying this video so far, please do give it a like and do consider subscribing. It really supports the channel. But let's move on to some examples of other reactions I have to cars I see. Perfect example for me, the Pagani Huayra. Very cool car, very beautiful car. However, the problem with the Pagani Huayra is where I live, they're common enough that if you go to any kind of major car show in the area, you're gonna see a couple Paganis, and by a couple I mean 2 to 4, even 5 Paganis. And yeah, when I saw the car for the first time in person, it was just such a cool car. I love the Pagani, I love the Wire, it's just such a cool car. But you know, after seeing it so many times in person, when you see it at a car show, you just kind of glaze over it pretty quickly. The excitement is just not as prevalent as it was when it was the first time you saw the car. Now let me give another example. This one pertains a lot more specifically to social media. The new Maserati MC20. Such a cool car, and I read all about this car online. I looked at videos of this car. I know how the car sounds, at least through video how it sounds, and I just read all the stats on it. I looked at different color options. I even spec'd my own online. But then unfortunately, when I saw the car for the first time in person, I really wasn't all that excited about it at all. Like, I kind of just saw it, was like, oh look, this is the new MC20. I walked around it, you know, the color was very beautiful. It was like a Tiffany kind of blue, like a cyan color. But really, that's it. Within a minute, I was already moved on to the next car. And honestly, for me, social media ruined this car. It ruined the whole experience of seeing that MC20 in person for the first time. I already knew everything about the car pretty much. I saw all these pictures online, I saw videos of the car, I listened to the car online, I even spec'd my own, like I said. Like, social media kind of ruined it. I really wasn't that excited to see the car. And this is just one example. Like, there are so many other examples of different cars that have been ruined for me because of social media. And maybe not all of you feel this way, maybe it's just me. Like, have you thought about it before? Like, think about it for a moment. Like, really ask yourself, would I have been more excited to see that car had I not seen it before online, plastered everywhere? Would it have just made that experience so much more special? Like, whoa, what is this car? Now, there is a silver lining to all this, and that social media has allowed people to see these cars and in one way or another experience them when they may otherwise have never even seen this car in their life in any way, shape, or form. And that's a great thing. It allows possibly someone to have that little extra bit of motivation. You know, like, you see this cool car online and you're like, well, is this something I can own one day? It kind of opens up people's eyes sometimes to the possibility of just owning it. Like, this exists. Like, someone owns it. Why can't it be me? Kind of much like it did for me in a way when I discovered the Ferrari 360 back in the day. That was kind of the car I researched. Like, wow, I can actually afford a Ferrari. Like, these aren't as insane as I thought they were. And it kind of opens up your eyes to the possibility of that. And none of this should detract from seeing an exciting car on the road or at a car show. Like, when you see a bright red Ferrari just barreling down the highway with its engine screaming, that excitement of seeing that should still be exciting. Now, this video is a bit of kind of food for thought. You know, has social media ruined cars for you? For me, it kind of has, and I kind of want to know how many other people feel the same way with this. Has it made it different? Do you feel the same when you look at cars now, having seen them on social media 100 times already? Or do you feel the exact opposite? Are you really excited to see a car, having seen it online 100 times? Give this video a like if it got you thinking. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think about it. Subscribe if you want to see more videos. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.